32 minutes
Yeah,
bringing my computer.
I think they spy on people, don't they?
Sure.
They've just got an uncanny ability to.
When I saw this one was coming by USPS, I'm like, oh
Oh,
man.
they're the worst, aren't they?
I mean, my UPS man is here between 2 and 3 every day. Like I can just count on it. Like
Yeah,
I don't.
is he as grumpy as the one that I get?
The UPS man, no. I used to have a guy. So this is a funny story. A few years ago, I bought an iMac, and it was my first big purchase for my business. And I had a meeting from like right around the time that the UPS man was supposed to be here. He's supposed to come at 3 o'clock, and I had a meeting without thinking of it from like 1:30 to 2:30, and it was going to take me 20 minutes to get home. And I wrote on a note and placed it on my door. And I said, "Dear Mr. UPS man, I will be home by 3 o'clock. I'm expecting to get my brand new shiny computer today and get it set up. See you. Hope to see you soon," or something like that. And he came and put one of those stickers on the door at, I think I got home at like 2:59, and he was here at 2:53. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I was so bummed. Um, I left the garage door open and I left my front door open. And pretty soon
Yeah.
I sat at the I sat here in the dining room. I was looking out the window all day. Anytime I heard a loud noise, like it could have been a truck or a bus, like I was looking, is it? Pretty soon he came back and he said that he went down our street and then he went back to the back of our neighborhood. And then when he drove out of our neighborhood, he looked and I still wasn't home yet because he was going to stop and bring it to me then because he saw the slip was still on the door. And then he did all the rest of his route. And before he went home, he stopped by and gave it to me.
Oh, that's
he's
nice.
Like, yeah, he's like,
Oh, they don't do that here. Not in
Right.
Reno, not in the outskirts of Reno. They come.
That's nice.
Whatever message you leave, they take absolute no notice of it
He did
at
say
all.
that he didn't want to have to unload and reload the 41-pound iMac at the end of the day and then load it back up tomorrow. So I was glad. I was like so happy that happened that day. So of course that won't happen today. Like I'll have to get my wife's computer tomorrow and mine tomorrow as well and get them all configured this weekend. So got to get it ready so I can go to Vegas.
Oh, you can take it with you?
I'm planning on it.
Yeah,
as long as I can get there's some special like software to get proxied and different things that I need to get set up. And if I can get that done tomorrow when the IT guys are in town or in front of their computers, as long as I can get that set up, I can come without having Photoshop installed and some of the other things. Like as long as I have a web browser and a code editor and my proxy set up, I'm pretty much set.
Oh, the one thing I forgot to ask you, it's too late now. What do you make of Rainmaker and what Alan
I can
Clark?
record. Let me record the question.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you think of Rainmaker and what Alan Clark and Studio Press Crowd are doing? What do you think they're up to?
Yeah, so Rainmaker is interesting. So I did this as part of my review as well, and I had no idea what Rainmaker was. I just heard some people throwing the name around, and I'm like, oh, I'll give it a try. I'm trying these other ones out. They have a free trial. Let's go ahead and try it out. So I signed up, and I was like, this looks a lot like WordPress, but it wasn't. It was Rainmaker, and like I kept doing things. I was like, these buttons look like WordPress. Is this a knockoff? Like, what's going on here? Is somebody punking me? Like, I didn't know what was going on. And then I was on, I don't know, I was in the dashboard maybe, and I did a Command Option U to pull up the source code, and I saw WP-admin, and I was like, what? And then I did a little bit more research, and then I realized it's a managed WordPress solution that has e-commerce and membership and the store stuff built in, and then you just don't have to worry about it. So it's a little pricey at $99 per month, but it gives you everything that if you're a business owner and you don't want to have to try to configure this widget or this plugin with this plugin to get it to work perfectly. Like I think it's a good deal. I mean, it does what it needs to, and they just put their own custom interface on top of WordPress. And so, I played with it for a few hours, like that's all I used it for. But once I realized, I think the big thing was once I realized it was running WordPress essentially, like it was a managed WordPress solution, like then I was a little bit more comfortable with it. At first I was like, dude, they just ripped WordPress off. How is this even possible? Like, yeah, exactly. So, but I don't know, like I think it's a good platform for certain people. if you've got a highly trafficked site that you need a pretty powerful server, and you don't want to deal with the configuration, you don't want to deal with setting up a shopping cart and managing updates and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think it does a good job. Like, I mean, you pay a price. If you're a business owner, you don't want to deal with any of that at $100 a month. It probably doesn't matter to you. If you're spending $3 a month on a shared hosting plan and you're always having to update your plugins and your site goes down and you lose sales, like, that's not good for anyone. So
yeah, I actually think I might be totally wrong here. I've got no evidence for this at all, Dustin, but I actually think Alan Clark and his crew are actually might be going a different direction with this. Actually, I think his ambition is much larger than we realise. I feel he's attempting to integrate this into hosting, design, and also a platform that offers services to like Salesforce.com and a number of other customer relation systems where you actually can see who's coming to the site, where they came from, and Rainmaker provides analytical information about the visitor, where they come, who they are, how long they spent, in much more detail than what you would get from Google Analytics, and also offer a customer relation backend where you're sending automatic emails to these people. I think his ambition is to build a hosted platform that has strong Salesforce customer relation management functionality built into it. And I might be totally wrong with that, but that's I've never met Brian, but I listened to a lot. I think he has his insights and his business savvy. I think he's one of the brightest people in the WordPress community. Let's put it this way: he chooses his partners really well, doesn't he?
Sure, absolutely.
So, what do you think of my thoughts there? Do you think I'm totally off the grid there? Or?
I didn't think of it that way, but I can.
I think of it that way all the time.
Yeah, it could be a logical explanation for what they're putting together. We'll have to wait and see.
Off the grid.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Why are you doing this? Actually, but I understand. But then I think, I think you're more going down that route, actually. But I might be totally wrong. Well, who knows? I'm wrong about everything. So the last thing you want to do is listen to anything I've got to say.
Justin, hey, one quick question, Jonathan, that we didn't really ask Justin. What do you think the future of WordPress is? And I'll probably, if you do that interview next week on timelines, we'll ask that question.
So I think WordPress is going to continue to have small iterations each major release. Like
a lot now, all those little iterations are doing right now.
Yeah, which are some of them are amazing. Like, it's like, wow, this is so much nicer with just these little subtle things. But I think we're going to continue to release 3 major versions per year with small little updates in between to get those security holes fixed. And we're just going to keep trying to make it the easiest user interface that we can. Like, there's so many good ideas that people have that they're working on plugins for, and then they're going to develop for plugins. And then once those plugins work well, then they'll merge them into core. And I think that's kind of a good way to do it and let people really work on and develop certain features. And then those features can be really hacked on and tested. And if they're not ready for version 4.2, then they can wait till 4.3. I think some of the big problems we had before was trying to merge everything at one time early on, and then, oh crap, that's not going to be done in time. So we either have to delay the release or we have to try to cut it out, and it just didn't work that way. So I'm excited to see the team leads. I know Konstantin Oberlin was, I think, named for 4.3, and there was somebody that they named for 4.4 already. So it's exciting to see. He's an automatician, Konstantin is, and so excited to see what he'll do as lead and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think also the strength is the soft strengths. I know it might be overemphasized, but actually I think as a community, it's got some of the most interesting people I've ever met, actually, and also as a business platform, I think as business people doing new things in the business environment. It's got some of the most interesting people in business are doing things with WordPress, aren't they?
Yeah. And I think too, it's really cool that, like, I mean, Squarespace rolls out new features and Wix rolls out new features, but they're rolling features out that their internal product teams can figure out and build and design. Whereas with WordPress, we've got millions of people who use WordPress, and we've got thousands of people who help to contribute to core and build things and test things and, build crazy awesome plugins. And so I think that's where WordPress is really going to win, because we have so many people with so many different strengths that are contributing. And even like WordPress.com, like we merge all of so like 4.2 is coming out soon, and all of the code that's going to go into 4.2 will be rolled into WordPress.com about a week before. Usually is when they do it, and then that way we have a few million people viewing that code, and we see if there's any problems or whatnot, and then it can be fixed before 4.2 is actually shipped. So I think we got a real win there, because we have a very large user base, and people will find those bugs and complain about them, and we get them fixed and patched and out the door.
I was going to mention that in your show. That open source approach is the reason why I don't even look at these other platforms. I just look at WordPress. In fact, as a small business guy, I don't have enough bandwidth to look at these other things. I know WordPress is going to work. And one thing you mentioned too, which I think I'm going this direction, is very important. Help that business person, that podcaster. I've got politicians and realtors. Help them get that initial site up. And then in 7 years from now, they'll actually feel very comfortable with WordPress just by being around it. I mean, they're going to learn. And I put WP 101 in the backside of inside my panel.
Okay.
But
yeah, but it's an interesting thing, because you got all, you got it, you even got it in the WordPress community, haven't you? Because you got Happy Tables, haven't you? And you got a couple others that are offering specific WordPress kind of hosted solutions at particular industry verticals, haven't you? And Happy Table is one that comes to mind, Dustin. And then you got a load of like what Bill's like for the real estate, for other industries. You got these hosted private solutions where they add value by adding a lot of additional value, but they keep you in the system, because it's practically impossible to get out of their gated solution. So it seems to be going all over the place, doesn't it? That's the interesting thing. Have you noticed that, Dustin?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so many things to keep up with that I just can't keep up with them all.
Well,
that's the other thing is, how do you decide what, that's a good question. How do you decide where you're going to focus at WordPress? Like I've decided to focus on using Genesis, specifically dynamic.
Right. If you focus on Genesis, that's the only thing you work on, then you're going to be an expert in that, and you can build a theme, very, very quickly by using Genesis. But if you are jumping around from this ThemeForest theme to elegant themes to Woo themes, like it's gonna take you 4 times longer to learn. Like that was the first thing. Like I would build themes from ThemeForest. I would buy one, and then it would take me like an hour or 2 to figure out how they work. And then because they're all different. I mean, you can't really standardize something like that when you can add when those developers add that WYSIWYG stuff in the back end to change colors and font sizes and all that good stuff.
Hey, this is my last question to bother you, but Jetpack, I've always been intrigued with Jetpack. I have it on one site. I play with it. I got 2 sites. But is there a place where you could just like put Jetpack in with dynamic and call it a day? I do it on one of my cheap sites. It's this cheap organization.
What do you mean by put it in with dynamic?
I use Jetpack for like on this one nonprofit site. I use it for almost a lot of its applications. It just works. It seems like you could just be Jetpack and dynamic hooked into each other. I use Genesis with dynamic and then Jetpack on that side.
Oh, okay. So dynamic's the theme.
Yeah, dynamic, if you want to call it. The dynamic is like
the child theme.
It's a child theme, but then they have skins on top of that, of course.
Okay.
And it has CSS. Dynamic allows you to. It's a web page builder for Genesis.
Yeah, can I add my bit here, Dustin, just to get your response? My problem, I'm fine. I was a bit resistant about going down the Genesis route, I think Studio Press a very respectable theme shop. But I have decided to go down that route because for the factors that you've just outlined. But when it comes to dynamic, I understand because they produce this really great dynamic editor, and I do understand why it's become popular, but it's also got the element of the taste of Chris Pearson and this whole going down the road of ending up with your own, because what they're doing is you've got this dynamic editor and they've got their own skin, so you're putting another layer upon a layer upon a layer, so you're ending up with almost 4 layers. You got WordPress, you got Genesis, and then you got the dynamic,
and the skins,
and then you got their editor, so you're ending up literally with 4 layers, and that's when I think you're pushing it a bit far. Then, what's your feelings about that statement?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't know, like I've never really done the speed test analysis to see if adding all those things on top of things, will slow down a site. I know it slows the back end down some, which drives me bonkers. Like when you make an update and then it takes 30 seconds once you click the update button for it actually to come back and that the page is uploaded. So I try my best to not use those. Like I recently redid my site and I did it all like hand coded, like I hand coded the WordPress theme because of the fact that I wanted to make my backend super fast. Like that was one of the things that was just important to me, just because I'm impatient and I would rather take the time. And I really wanted to work on it as well. There's still a few dozen action items that I still need to do before my site's completely done. But I made it as simple as I could so the backend would load as quickly as I could.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I know you said you took a commercial HTML theme as your starter, and you just win. And I think that's a good. But I am looking at Genesis, but I've got nothing. I think Dynamic are a great company, but I think when you got 4 fundamental elements to something, it's starting. You're starting to get to the thesis land, and I've got nothing against Chris Pearson at all, but I think there is a boundary, and it's just I'm a little bit concerned when you go that far. I think the Genesis boundary, it keeps to the core. You have a framework and you have child themes, and you do your customization on the child theme, and that fits into the core recommendations of WordPress. The core, and I think you're on safe land there, aren't you? Yeah, you're not going to reply. All right, then.
Yeah,
we better finishing up here.
Right, and thanks so much, Dustin.
I might take some of this content and throw it on after the show. You say a little chit chat after the show is worth listening to. Dustin, brilliant. I look forward to seeing you at New Media Exposition.
Yeah, come find me.
Yeah, I was there last year.
Okay.
Blueberry upgraded me to a VP packet.
Yeah.
I was the one selected guy, so
cool.
Kind of nice.
But I just want to say, Dustin, your contribution to the live show was fantastic, and I thought we've had a great chat today. And in the coming months, have you back on the live show, because we really enjoyed your contribution, and we think it's been fantastic. And thanks for all the stuff you've produced over the years. I've learned a lot from it, and I do appreciate your efforts.
Sure,
it's very good.
That's what I do.
Website. All right, thanks. I'll hang up now.
All right, see you later.
Jonathan, do you want to stay on for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I'll call you back.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to shut off this.